Hey everyone, welcome to your second Modern World weekly launch. Today you'll be learning a little bit more about the upcoming projects and what you should be going through this week. So you'll be learning about some of the philosophers in history and what their ideas were and how they contributed to the period called Enlightenment. So the first thing I noticed in some of your projects and that were turned in, some of the first checkpoints, it played a big emphasis on point of view, and I think that we are struggling a little bit to catch what is the point of view and what is the purpose of a document. So I would just like to real quickly, just a very brief video on what is the point of view, kind of in terms that are a little bit easier to understand.
Hello again, race fans. I'm Seth Stevens, and in just a few moments, the Flex 400 gets underway here at Memorial Speedway. With me, as always, is former champ Emilio De Santis. Hey, Seth. Folks, Emilio and I are really excited to unveil a new innovation to our broadcast, the first-person camera. That's right. We've outfitted several of today's drivers with helmet cameras and microphones, so at any point in the race, we can see what they see and hear what they're saying. As you folks know, typically I call the play-by-play from up here in the booth. And that body liability 18 car attempting to victory from Ray Stone Jr. And he's doing coming around the turn. It looks like he has just enough to get by him. That's some excellent third-person narration, Seth. You can tell by the words he, they, and him. Today, though, we can present a whole new point of view right from inside the car. That's right, Emilio, and it looks like the race is about to begin. Let's cut to the first-person camera in Bobby Bondo's 18 car for the start. Is it hot in here? My stomach doesn't feel so good. I'm so nervous. Which way do I turn? I feel sick. Somebody help me? Left? That's it. Every turn is a left turn. I can remember that. Well, you heard Bondo working out some pre-race nerves there on our first-person camera. You know it's first person because of words like my, I, and me. We see the race right from the driver's point of view. Pre-race jitters like that pretty common, Emilio? I'm just glad they didn't have those cameras back in my day.
Okay, so corny, but you get the point. So point of view is the perspective from which the story is told. So when you're looking at historical documents and different primary and secondary sources in history, it's important to know who was writing it or who was narrating this. Or were they at the actual event, or is it hearsay? Are they writing down what they were told or what they heard? Or is it a firsthand account of a situation? So in history, it's very important to know the point of view as well as the purpose of a document. Why was it written? Why is it so important to history? So that's really the point of the first project you're working on, is to understand why those documents are important to history and how to know what's important. So we'll get back to the schedule in a second. So first, let's go right into the SLP to look at what you should be doing. So again, this blue line is moving further to the right, meaning that you want to do what you can to keep up with it in all of your courses. So we're going to focus primarily right now on what's Modern World 1. So you should be having been finished with, or at least still working on, the forms of government power focus area. You should be taking a diagnostic assessment, working on the playlist to learn the material, and then requesting the content assessment. So some of you have started doing that, and I believe according to our pace chart, I would like you to finish that next week, I believe. If you did finish with the forms of government, some of you have moved on to the Enlightenment philosophers focus area, and that is fine. If for this next week, if you do finish the Enlightenment philosophers one, I would prefer that you actually go on and do the additional focus areas, these two here. That's what guarantees you that you can get the highest grade possible of an A+. And the main reason being, all of these are in order, and these focus areas all deal with the project above them. If you start moving into the French Revolution, that goes into the next project, and I just think it's going to get very messy for you. So I think that it'd be best to focus on these 4 focus areas that all deal with this one project above it. That way the material is fresh, it's relevant, you're actually going to learn something in the long run. And then once you're finished with all of it, then move on to the focus area. So I do recommend following the schedule that I'm outlining for you, because I do think it's the best way that the material is going to be relevant and mean something, rather than just whipping through all of these focus areas. So let's first look into the project, the ideas that change the world. And we have that due on November 7th, so you have over 2 months. And it might sound like a long time, but there are a fair amount of checkpoints and final products that need to be completed. So don't put it off too long. So the first checkpoint that you should be starting this week, if you did not, and a lot of you have done it and finished it. So you'll want to do the Enlightenment Philosopher's Secondary Source Analysis. So you're going to go into the Philosopher's Secondary Sources, and you're going to pick 2 of these philosophers right here. And when you click on the link, it'll bring you down. So if you pick John Locke, so then it's broken into mild, medium, and spicy. So it's basically how much you want to challenge yourself. If you would like, if you struggle a little bit with reading and you would like the content a little bit easier, you might want to pick a mild source. If you would just kind of like a regular, shouldn't be too difficult, the medium's probably the best that I would recommend. And spicy is if you really want to challenge yourself. It's more advanced reading. So if you're up for the challenge, try the spicy. If not, stay with medium and mild if need be. So you're going to pick the 2 philosophers that you would like to, and then you're going to be working on this secondary source analysis. So for each thing that you read, you're going to first source the information. Who was the title, the author, and provide the link to the website. So that's kind of teaching you about plagiarism almost. What you should be doing to avoid plagiarism is letting us know where you got the information. The next thing is to provide important details from the source. So the first thing is to actually read through the material and come up with what details you think are most important about that philosopher and about their ideas and how they kind of scoped, how they really played a role in our history today. So any important details you would write down here. And then the main thing that we're looking at for this whole checkpoint is the central idea. So based on these details that you found, what is the main idea of the source? What is the whole source about? What is the #1 most important thing that you could say about that philosopher's ideas? And then you're going to do that for the second philosopher, and then answer which philosopher is the most interesting to you and why. So again, you're going to be focusing on theme and central idea. And the rubric's not on that one. So if you have any questions on that, again, you're just focusing on if you read a document or you read a paragraph, what is the main idea of that paragraph? Why was it so important that you read that? A lot of you, the ones I've corrected so far have gone over into this column and you said that their ideas changed the world, or their ideas, we still use some of their ideas today. Which ideas? So be specific. These details should be, again, detailed. There should be a description of exactly what happened, why it was important, and just be as descriptive as possible, because I will just send it back. If you say their ideas were important, why? What ideas? So why don't you just skip the step of me sending it back and just be as detailed as possible the first time. All right, so then for week 2, if you've already finished the first checkpoint, you can go ahead and start working on the second checkpoint, which is the philosopher's primary sources. So this one you're working on secondary sources, which is an outside source wrote about this person. The primary sources are something that the actual philosopher themselves wrote. So kind of first person and second person over here. All right, well, if you have any questions about this material or anything else, you're always free to send me a hangout throughout the day. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Again, my name is Chelsea Gibbons, and you can just type me right into Hangouts. You can send me an email, give me a call if you need to, but please let me know if you need anything, and have a good week.